Those good old days. Happy birthday to you. You sugar out of your baby ways. Happy birthday to you. 35th birthday, we wish you many more. Health and wealth and friends by the score. So, cut the cake and let's eat some more. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Blackfish. Happy birthday to you. One more time. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Blackfish. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you all for coming. This is a real treat for all of us, for gallery members and guests alike. I want to welcome you to Blackfish, to this 35th anniversary. It's really a big deal. Think about this, a gallery that's been in continuous operation for 35 years, thanks to its artist members and the congregation of community that's around us that support us, both with enthusiasm and by buying artwork and just coming to the events and the shows. So thank you all. It's a celebration for all of us. I wanted to say a few words about the start of our program. One of the things that we decided we'd like to do is to commission a piece to honor the 35th birthday. So we've asked our artist here, Josh Mung, and he's accompanied, he'll be working with the theremin. And then also, there's John Eno, who will be working with the marimba here. So we commissioned them to do a piece in honor of this event. And and the theme of the show is becoming Blackfish. And the piece that they've done, that Josh has created for us, is called 35 Dreams in Color. So Josh will do the piece, and then afterwards he'll explain a little bit about the theremin and answer some questions you might have. So maybe we could turn the program over to Josh, and you want to say anything before we get started with it, Josh?
Shoot, there's a lot of people out there.
Well, I'm here to hear you.
Oh, friends.
Well, we'll do our thing, and then when we're done, oh, I have one thing. Just in case you all look so well behaved, I hardly have to say it, but please, nobody come to this space right here. It'll throw me all out of tune. More out of tune, excuse me.
Rush the stage!
I'll do a little spiel afterwards about the history of this instrument, and we can talk.
This is one of the directors of the Readers Theater Repertory. And
Wendy Wilcox and Jason England make up two of the additional members of our company. We thought we might provide you something a little bit sweet and possibly a little bit sassy. So here we go. Let's travel down memory lane. As regards Blackfish Galleries, 35 years.
For many a year did Linda, a painter, scrutinize slides of genetical matter. They were her subjects, minute and complex. Then color crept in and consumed her.
A Montana-born cowgirl named Carol painted mountains and the high chaparral. She ripped out barbed wires, wrangled sticks into towers, and wrote The Old Lonesome, a novel.
Somehow the famished young Barbara knew that the special dish on the cafe menu was charred whitefish, was auspicious, but ordered instead the red snapper stew.
As Clint began a new sanguine drawing, he wondered whether the forms emerging would be nude or naked. Either way, they would be thought-provoking.
The New Englander Tory would forage over rocky terrain for fresh foliage. With a brayer, she'd ink them through the press in a blink, then out popped a monotype image.
There was a Cologis Junhi, whose works were compact and carefree. She was trained as an architect and worked in that dialect, making plans that were fit for a flea.
The sculptor Greg Conan was cunning at fabrication and tight joining. Sliced stone and wood hybrids, tree stumps on steel tripods were his feats of aesthetical cloning.
The intrepid Yana's routine was to trek out to picturesque vistas. In geological features, she saw Czech Baroque churches, and at night drank beer, not martini.
When the muse whispered plastics to Bob, he embarked on an artistic journey. On garbage-glued panels, he painted the channels of a river in Clackamas County.
It occurred to the writer Meridon that an essay by Walter Benjamin might cover a wall in a gallery. When she did it, it was clear to see that writ large the aura of his text was gone.
Sarah's forms line up in formation, prompting the following question. Are the brushes and pencils, the tools and utensils, hieroglyphs awaiting translation?
From the well of her subconsciousness, Ellen drew a one-legged nude dame with her red lips askew. And, in further defiance of line length, meter, and sense, a beady-eyed bloke from whose neck a crotch-clutching hand grew.
The stark bonsai of Cain Ikeda, fruit lushly with pale heads, etc. His aim is to propagate, to illustrate and narrate a weird cosmological saga.
There once was an artist named Mickey, whose paintings were noisy and tricky. Roller coasters for the eyes, their symmetrical volleys made one feel a bit limericky.
The young figurative artist Oriana titled her paintings with lyrics by Rihanna. She also would play with the works of Manet, including Déjeuner sur l'heure and Olympia.
There was a fine painter named Paul, whose paintings were hung on a wall. From horses and Harleys to bluebirds and fairies, he depicted the large and the small.
While painting, Roya would turn her canvas upside down or toward the east or west, whichever direction, by her estimation, it aligned with her internal compass.
Rory's induction into the gallery provides the wonderful opportunity to use blood boogers and snot bubbles in a nice piece of nonfiction poetry.
Nathan Oresco grew great bowers of roses in metallic colors. But unlike what Stein says about prosaic posies, his were bred for their thorns, not their odors.
A dream of the painter Angela was to dance with the poet Neruda. To prepare, she ate chili, plowed el agua like Willie, and to rhyme did not tango, but tanga.
For the versatile artist Teresa, a wool-socked conceptualista, tonal nudes, sewn house tents, beaded clowns, decaled silhouettes, switching tools and techniques was a breeza.
To make painterly paintings, Mayor Sandy would roam the marshes and tide pools and clear out near home. She'd bring back her sketches and load up her brushes and paint the town red with a lunge and a plomb.
David's synthetic critters descend from Cubist collage and surrealism. Since his last name is Selleck, I must rhyme it with limerick, then return to my art history theorem.
Christopher Chatola Hart awoke and sat up with a start. A coven of crows had perched on his nose and were eating bug toast a la carte.
When the artist Charles Siegfried laid siege on a styrofoam carton of cheese, it was not for nutrition that inspired his volition, but to paint on the scattered debris.
The tinkerer Stephan would toil on motorized tubings of oil. When the gizmos plugged in, they would seesaw and spin, but not come to a bubbling boil.
Mandy Steigen's wall-mounted ceramics resemble maps of topographics. Glazed in organic tints, their puzzle piece units are ruptured by global plate tectonics.
There was an old artist named Tilden, whose sculptures were rusted, not gilded. He wanted a horse, so he made one, of course, but to ride it, made sure it was gelded.
A scrupulous painter named Sue has painted a woman or two in fine hats and tresses and historical dresses, but never in Gap or J. Crew.
An industrious artist named Judy builds tableaus in small boxes of plexi. She also has a passion for painting on glass and has a cottage in Cambridgeshire, Ely.
Mary Dawn Ducker, who was going to recite for us a poem that she written for this occasion, I'm assuming.
From the anniversary.
Oh, from the anniversary of before. So, Mary Dawn, please.
Well, first, their creative tyranny makes look, want to look, and love to look. Our eyes so near, what makes us human? The intelligence of the animal can be told by how close their eyes are together, which may doom the goat, but gives love and art a portal, or some would say touch, is where it starts, for we are creatures of sensation and require everywhere a guard to say, do not touch. Be clasped by what was previously risen, as if for the old argument, is it craft to capture the desired? Is it utilitarian to be beautiful? These are academic in the pit of the vessel where I willingly lie, for love and art equally vulnerable to surface as when I was first entered insensibly into heaven and wanted to own one, to live in it, to bask, to bathe, and wear the frame from view to view, saying art has placed this burden on my willing back, or was it you?
Is anyone that would like to share a little story about Blackfish, just for a few seconds or something, just to tell us something about maybe your experience with the gallery or something that's happened to you? Anybody? I have. you know, there, I don't know, is Michi here? Is Michi here? Does Michi come tonight? Well, you know Michi Kasuga. Michi did the wonderful piece that round stone piece that's probably there in the corner. Anyway, I wanted to recount to you a story of an event that happened in one of our last meetings at Blackfish Gallery, and I'm sure you remember this, Christy, when we were meeting as we used to do every once a month, as we still do, as a matter of fact, and hold our business meetings. We were at the old space on 6th, Northwest 6th, down a few blocks from here. And the building was underneath, was on the first floor. Above us was the hotel. And we always enjoyed that space because we got free heat because it had city steam heat that went through the floors. But it also made it a very comfortable environment for other kinds of 4-footed critters. And I remember the meeting we had in the front space of that gallery, and I'll bet you can remember this, Chrissy, you can concur with this, but we're sitting around and talking at a business meeting, and we hear in the ceiling this kind of rustle, 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 rustle. Then all of a sudden we hear a thump, and a rat fell from the ceiling, from the crack of the ceiling, fell down on the floor, and we're all kind of stunned. Well, we knew that they were around, you know, and we all kind of looked over. It was like from about maybe from here to you, RV. And you know, we're kind of stunned. There's this rat kind of going like this because he was stunned. And Michi gets up, calmly walks over, bends down, picks the little critter up by the tail, takes him, his little legs are going, takes him out to the door, opens the door, and just lets him down, and then we continue with our meeting. But it didn't go on for too much after that. I think we figured that was about it. But anyway, I never forgot that you know, just the sight of him walking off with that rat in his hand was, and here's this guy who works with these, you know, tons of granite, carrying this little rat out and letting him loose outside the door. So anyway, does anybody have any story they want to share? Christy.
I'm remembering another birthday party.
Quiet back there a little bit, please. Quiet, quiet, quiet.
I'm remembering another birthday party at Blackfish when we were on 6th, yeah. And I see here we have a concrete floor, which is, I don't know if this is why it's concrete now, because it's what it came with, but back on 6th, we had a wooden floor. And I'm remembering after that birthday party, we had, I think Paul DeLay was playing for the dancing. We were going nuts. And afterwards, after the party, the next day, there was this part of the floor that had caved in near the front of it. And Greg Grennan had been there, so everyone was saying, well, Greg must have done it. Lo and behold, it was not Greg, it was Judy Cook. Judy was the culprit.
I have another rat story. Actually, there were a couple of rat stories.
Stand up, Judy.
Kanataka at the other space had a very beautiful install, and as I remember, they were railroad ties, and they took up. They were quite minimal, and really just took over the entire floor. They were really beautiful. Of course, they were creosoted. They were old. And, you know, so he put his whole thing out and, you know, it's all arranged. And I went in sometime after it opened because we were in a gallery sitting. And I remember walking around and visitors came in. And there was a kind of interim before there was the front space, and then there was a little space, and then there was a back. There was a hole in the wall, rat-sized hole. And I was standing there talking to somebody about Kanataka's beautiful install, and suddenly I see a brown nose poking through, at which point I went like that, and the nose withdrew.
That's a curator for you. Anybody else have anything to share? Oh, Ted.
Well, there are many of us who for 35 years have never been a member of Blackfish. And yet, I think there are all of these outsiders, we feel so much a part of it. And as an outsider, thank you for bringing us inside. It's just an incredible thing, and I think the whole city should celebrate this anniversary.
But RAC has been, the Regional Arts and Culture Council has been very generous with us in their program of Work for Art. So really deeply thank RAC and any representatives that are here. Thank you, and applause to them too. And a wonderful community, totally, that has supported us through being artists in the community, being part of the gallery, being part of the audience, the whole thing. Thank you all for making this a great 35 years, and let's go forward with it. Well, Yay,